The following was reported by the Phantoms and Monsters blog on March 13, 2014.
Hello, I had an extremely frightening experience several years ago that I had no idea what was going on. But when I happened to run across a description of the MIB, which I had never even heard about except for passing references to the Will Smith movie, I suddenly realized this is extremely similar to what I experienced. My mouth dropped open at the similarity. What happened was, I used to be a postal delivery person in Washington, D.C. One of the buildings I always delivered mail to on my route was this huge building. One day I had paused to eat an apple outside the building, and not seeing a trash can anywhere, I just threw the core onto the ground. When I walked into the building to deliver the mail, I was angrily confronted by the head security guy who asked me why I was littering. I was a little taken aback and asked him how he knew I had thrown the apple core on the ground. He told me that this whole premises was under video surveillance, including not only all sides of the building but even the grassy areas around it. It was then that I suddenly realized this building had really unusually tight security. Even when I went inside to deposit the mail room was open to me, but the rest of the building was inaccessible. I could only go into the mail room, deposit the mail, and leave. I had to ring a buzzer to be let into the building each time I delivered. Anyway, a few weeks later, I was on my way to deliver the mail as usual to the building, and as I was nearing the building, I saw three figures crossing the street on their way towards the building. At first glance I thought they were normal. But as I looked closer I was shocked at how strange they were. They were extremely thin, and they didn't walk by putting one leg in front of the other, but sort of waddled by moving their whole bodies from side to side, lifting one foot off the ground, then the other foot in a sort of whole body side to side waddle. It's hard to explain what I mean, but it was not the way any normal person would walk unless they were unable to move any joint in their legs. But as strange as this was not what frightened me. What frightened me was that they were absolutely thin. It was like they were as flat as a set of clothes that had been ironed. Their faces and bodies were entirely flat, no contours. The nose did not jut out, nothing. And they were also extremely thin. The best I could describe is if you saw a suit hanging from a clothes hanger, that would be about the same thickness. It was like no thickness at all, just clothes hanging from a hanger. All three were dressed in black suits. They all had black sunglasses. I saw them walk up, ring the buzzer, and be let into the building. I was absolutely scared shitless as I had just been about to enter that very same building. I really wasn't sure what to do, but I kind of steeled myself, and slowly forced myself to ring the buzzer and enter the building, figuring, hey, I might have imagined this, in any case I should force myself to go through my routine until I can think this thing out. When I entered the mailroom, there were like 10 normal men standing there, just looking at me. It was really intimidating. They asked me if I had seen anything. I was kind of speechless for a second, not knowing how to respond. And then one of them walked right up to me from the side and from slightly behind me. I could tell it was one of the same types of things that I had seen crossing the street. It walked right up to me and I was too afraid to turn my head to the side and look at it. I am very scared just typing this right now, remembering it. It didn't say anything, it just got right up close to me, and I had a feeling of fear so intense, I felt as if my heart had just frozen and was going to fall out of my body onto the ground. Again, they asked me, did you see anything? What did you see? I just shook my head and stammered, no, I didn't see anything. Unless they were all retarded, there is no way they couldn't have noticed my extreme fright. I thought they might hold me there and not let me go. But finally they said, okay, leave now. The man in black that was to my side and a little behind me, kind of took a step back to make way, and I had to steel myself to actually walk past it on my way to the door and I was out of the building. It is the bravest thing I've ever done in my life. At the time I had never heard of the MIB, I had no idea what this thing was or what the government was doing. All I knew was that I was dealing with something far more powerful than me. I thought maybe it was some new type of robot and the government was doing test runs on them, but why that would be done in broad daylight I could not and still do not understand. To give you an understanding of how frightening it was, the first thought that came to my mind was that I needed to leave the country, to find some way to get the hell out of the country and go somewhere else. But then it occurred to me that if I started to act strangely, they might get suspicious and kill me or something. I realized the best thing I could do was act as normally as possible and pretend nothing had happened. Later the next week, my supervisor at the post office told me I had been suddenly reassigned from my old route to a new one, something that was unexpected. He asked me if I had encountered any problems on the route. I think even he may have been a little confused at why I was being reassigned. But I said I had no problems and I was very quiet about it. So eventually I got reassigned. After what I thought was an appropriate amount of time continuing to work at the post office, I quit my job and now I work at an airport. I am telling this story now because I need to get this off my chest. I doubt they will come after me now, but if they do, I can't avoid my fate. I've never seen any sort of alien or had any sort of unusual life event of any other kind, nor do I believe that there is such a thing as a devil or demons or anything. So I really don't know what to believe now. There is no doubt whatsoever the building was under the control of the government, with normal human beings. I still think it was some sort of cyborg experiment. And on occasion I still am tempted to just leave the country to get away from all this.